In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 top tips so that you can get back on the wagon. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back. It's been a while, I know, I can explain. Partly the reason why I've not been here for 4 months now is to do with this kind of falling off the wagon thing that we're going to discuss in this video today. So for those that don't know me, my name is Evie V, and on this channel we discuss all things wellness, well-being, spiritual awakening, raw living, and I was living predominantly raw, eating a high raw diet of raw living foods for 14 months. It started off with a juice fast, and that carried me up until Christmas gone. So this was, you know, good 4.5 months ago now, when I did have some more cooked foods, and since then I just let that spiral a bit, and I ended up eating many of the junk foods again, snacks foods all of the time, and the cooked foods, and a part of me just wasn't ready to kind of go back to eating just the raw foods, even though I knew how the cooked foods had slowed me down. I knew how I felt better off the raw foods, and I knew I always intended to get back there at some point. I gained weight, especially around my gut, which is unwanted and it's not supposed to be there. So this is kind of where I'm at now, but there has been a reason why I've been able to pick myself back up after this length of time and really decide I'm going for it now. I want to get back to where I was. So we'll start with it then. So the first reason then, number 1, it's to have an incentive. So the real incentive for me to get back to the raw living foods as quickly as I did was basically I'd been asked if I wanted to be part of a raw vegan calendar. Rawlicious, Tony from Rawlicious asked if I would be a part of this calendar. And straight away I was thinking, I've not even been that raw recently. Like, I felt kind of like, how could I do this when I'm not a perfect example of this myself? I spoke to Tony about it, and she said how, you know, it's a journey, and this is just, you know, stages. I always knew my mindset wanted to get back there. I always knew that is the right, you know, the right path for me to take. So this has been a real incentive for me to kind of, right, I need to get back to it now. So I decided to do a juice fast. The purpose of a juice fast is to clean out our guts. When we clean out our guts of the mucoid plaque that could be that forms over like a lifetime of kind of cooked and processed foods and meats or whatever gets stuck in our intestines. Our intestines are like, what, 30 odd feet long, I think, and so all this build up gets stored there, and as I said, I get weight stored there, unwanted weight. So part of the juice fast process for me, I thought I want to clean out my guts, and also a bonus for me with that is I would lose some weight before this calendar. Now I know this is superficial, but that's the truth of it. So I hopped on, I jumped into the juice fast, and I did 10 days recently. So I was going to go until hopefully 40 days. I was hoping to clean out as much as I could. The juice fast really is for an indefinite amount of time. However, with some summer arrangements that I've got, there is no way I would be able to make juice in about 6 weeks time, and yeah, basically I don't think my mindset was fully quite there. I've ended up ending the fast at the 10 days. However, this has given me so much inspiration. You know, it is all just part of the journey. I've now done 2 juice fasts. This is where I'm up to with that. I still know I've got to clean out the guts at some point, but now I'm back to being high raw living foods, so the foods that I'm now having predominantly as my diet. So the incentive was I had something to aim for, which made me realize, right, I'm doing it now. Okay, number 2 is we want healing over, or the upgrades. I've just wrote the note there. We want the healing or the up levels. So for me, with getting back to the raw living foods, it really is to heal as well. I suffer from chronic pain once, every menstrual cycle, and speaking to other people who've also had this before as well, being on a high fruit diet for a number of months, kind of a prolonged length of time, has healed their chronic pain. I also am a strong believer in the physical is not, it comes from like an emotional, spiritual disconnect as well, so that it's all entwined. The physical is our bodies trying to give us a message saying something's not quite right here. And I know with the emotional side of things, it's to do with kind of self-love as well. And I do find it easier to love my body, the vessel that I'm in, that we should all love, so much. It's working perfectly for me. It's kind of, it's the vessel that I'm here, that I'm experiencing this beautiful life in. And sometimes I'm not too kind to myself. I'm not too kind about my body. And I know when I'm eating the right foods that are right for my body, that I love my body more. So the self-love then becomes all that little bit easier. So when if we go back to the point of it, it's for healing or for your upgrade. So if we relate this to something else, say it was to alcohol. Alcohol is also something that I no longer consume. And with that one, it was because I knew the harms of alcohol, that I no longer wanted to harm my body with that. So that I was then going to get the up levels, get the healing from not having something so toxic going into my body. Okay, number 3, we've got inspiration over desperation. So this, when I started my raw journey, it came from inspiration. It wasn't that I was in this desperate stage. Many people who are in the raw community, they do get to their desperate stage first. It's that they've got some illness, something, it might be some skin problems, it might be fatigue, it might be a whole range of different illnesses, and that they've then discovered raw foods as the healing properties through desperation. However, it's inspiration that keeps us going. So sometimes desperation can be a bit of a driving force. So for me, for about 2 days a month, I am in a desperate stage where I'm crying out, crying out to the universe in pain. So about 2 days a month approximately, it can seem like desperation for me. However, it wasn't because of these pains that led me to the raw diet, the raw lifestyle in the first place. It was through inspiration of the raw living foods. They give us the closer spiritual connection, they give us a closer intuition, they give us better mental clarity. And I just thought, wow, I want that. Who doesn't? And it's all that, I might have mentioned it before, about putting the right fuel into the tank. So it's kind of like, of course, I want to be running to my optimal. Yeah, that's the right word, isn't it? I want to be running the best I possibly can, of course. So I want to feed myself those foods. They say, with the high vibrational foods, they give us the high vibrational thoughts. So, and then our thoughts, we then, these ideas, we can then put them down onto paper, or we can speak them out. And this is how we can bring, our new ideas into fruition, into our reality. So it was for the high vibrational thoughts that I, eating the high vibrational foods. So it's inspiration that is going to carry you forward. So again, relating this to something else, it's kind of a bit like the love over fear that I might have spoke about on a previous video. So it's kind of like, if we're choosing love because we love ourselves rather than we're fearful of the consequences. So again, we can relate this to alcohol. It's a good one that we can kind of relate that to as well. Okay, number 4, I've got vision greater than self. So this is all about the vision. Why am I sticking to the raw living foods? Why am I doing it in the first place? Now, if this is just for us and just for our health, then this alone is never going to be enough. It can be a good driver at first. Yes, it can, you know, this I was saying about healing the chronic illnesses. So that will be a good driver at first. However, the vision needs to be greater than self, so that we then stick to it. So a good example of this for me was when I became vegan. Now, being vegan in a non-vegan world, it can have challenges. However, the vision was greater than me. So yeah, there's all the ethical, the environmental side, and as many of you may know. So so when it comes to the raw foods, for me, the vision being greater than myself was because these are the foods that I believe, that I see are the foods that we should be having, again, to feed ourselves, to be the optimal beings that we can be. So by me doing that is being the example of what we want to bring into the new earth. My biggest passion, or one of, is creation of this new earth. So when we're bringing that in, obviously I need to be the living example of that. That then will inspire others to do the same, so that we're all then operating from our better selves, from our higher selves. We're letting go of all the low vibrations. So yeah, that was that one as well. And number 5, I've got protect your energy and protect your surroundings. So this is kind of like what you're watching, listening to, reading, engaging in with online as well as offline as well. So when we're really protecting our energy, and really protecting kind of who we're kind of around, because say we're around people who might be like temptation or influences for us. So this can really be related to kind of anything that you might be wanting to let go of or have less of. It's an obvious one. Don't put yourself there in the surroundings where there might be temptation. But I wanted to mention about online and what we're reading as well, because there can be triggers, and even when I saw a meme, and that can straight away trigger you. This was a cannabis meme, and it straight away, that made me want that. So it's just being aware of your surroundings, really protecting your energy, because when we do that and we're working on ourselves is when we're truly going to be in our own power. And it takes all of that, it takes this really going within, cutting out all of the distractions, so that we can then really work on ourselves, so that then we are then stronger, and then we can be around temptation, knowing that we are so much stronger within ourselves. I hope these have all helped you, and thanks for listening to my first video back after the 4-month break or so. Like I say, it was Christmas both times, to be honest. So now I really see that, how Christmas is such a time when people fall off the bandwagon, as it were. For me, when I first started my raw journey, it was a year, and it was the end of 2020, and so I started the juice fast, and then Christmas came along, and I'd done 10 days into the juice fast. Christmas came along, and I was eating for 3 days, and then I got back on it. So it was a bit of a little bit of a wobble there, and then Christmas this time round. So I was predominantly raw, all good intentions to stay fully raw, started eating food again, and then this time I didn't catch it 3 days later. It's kind of snowballed into like 4.5 months until I did this juice fast again. This juice fast again lasted, initially the 10 days. So I continued with the first one for a further 35 days. So that did stand me in good stead for raw living as long as I did. However, I still didn't get, and I haven't this time either, all of this mucoid plaque out that I've been talking to you about. That we can hold parasites in our guts as well. This can really control our cravings. Our cravings, obviously then control us. So I've done whole other videos on kind of like help with cravings as well. Mindfulness meditation being, you know, really key number one for me. And I will continue to share other things like that as well. But just wanted to give you a little brief of where I'm at. Hope those 5 points help, and I'll see you all in the next one.